LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey with us, and Eric Guster, a criminal and civil trial attorney and Sirius XM radio host, Clay Kane with us as well. Thank you so much, Clay. I know you just got off the air, so thank you so much for joining us. Cheryl, you did not believe this from the beginning. Tell us why.
Well, listen, I spent 20 years in an LAPD uniform as a patrol officer, as a patrol sergeant, and so I'm accustomed to people lying, and I'm accustomed to seeing them go to great lengths in support of that story. And so it didn't pass the smell test. And while I didn't publicly, criticize Jussie, I had issue with what he was saying, and I figured in time, listen, anybody who's watched an episode of 48 Hours Lives understand the capability of most police departments. And so I knew there was just a matter of time and that the truth would be known, and so now here we are. And there's a price to pay when you make up this kind of foolishness and you waste the resources of police personnel, FBI personnel, and more importantly, you besmirch the character of those Chicago police officers who I know, by and large, for the most part, are there to do the right thing and are doing the right thing.
And Eric, police say they have phone records that show communication between Smollett and the two brothers. They say they have the check that Smollett used to pay them. How, if you're his attorney, do you frame your defense here?
There is very little defense to this based upon the evidence. And similar to what Cheryl just mentioned, I've been practicing law for 18 years, and I know when people start lying. And what people do is they think they have to build upon the lie and make it more believable. They start giving more and more facts, and they start digging a bigger hole for themselves. And people have to understand that there's always a paper trail. And Jussie wrote a check, like a real sign his name check to pay this off, which created the ultimate paper trail. And you have videos, you have text messages, you have phone calls. So it's very hard for a defense attorney to try to defend this, except to try to work something out for the benefit of their client. Perhaps they may try to use a mental health defense or something like that, but it's going to be very tough.
Clay, I want to play something that Smollett said on national TV after his reported attack. Here it is.
I want them to see that I fought back. And I want a little gay boy who might watch this to see that I fought back. And it does not take anything away from people that are not able to do that. But I fought back. They ran off. I didn't.
What do you say to a young gay man, a young gay person?
To learn to fight. And I don't just mean like learn to fight.
And so, Clay, you're aware that one of the criticisms now coming out of this is that if this is a hoax, does it make it more difficult for the Black LGBT community to be taken seriously if they are to report a hate crime? But you have a column in the Washington Post that really challenges that assumption. You say there's no justification for this hoax if it's proven to be, but you point out that Jussie Smollett won't be the reason that Black LGBT hate crime victims are not believed. Explain that.
Well, the idea that we're going to try and blame Jussie Smollett for why Black LGBT victims won't be believed is just lied. We haven't been believed for years. There's documents and records of victims being ignored. So if victims aren't believed moving forward, that isn't Jussie. We can't take the story of one person and say, oh, because this might be a hoax, allegedly. This might be a hoax, that it's going to damage all of the victims. If you don't believe a Black person or somebody a victim of a hate crime, it is because of your own white supremacy.
Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties with Clay. Clay, I'm sorry, we're actually having technical difficulties. I do want to definitely direct our viewers toward your column because you lay out very clearly. And Cheryl, I wonder if you would comment on that. In Clay's column, he points out example after example of where either there are people who haven't reported something because they already prior to this believed that they would not be believed, or in instances where they indeed were not taken seriously in what they were reporting. Does this highlight what is already a huge problem?
Well, listen, it's not going to help for sure. And I'm sensitive, having been a victim of all sorts of isms during my time on the police department and thereafter. And so, listen, it's very easy for people to minimize and devalue victims for a variety of offenses, whether it's sexual assault or whether it's workplace harassment, retaliation, discrimination. So this doesn't help. But listen, this stands on the shoulders of Jussie solely. This is his cross to bear. And going forward, it is my hope that others won't use him as a reason to further victimize people who are legitimate victims. And I understand why people don't want to come forward. Listen, there are people right now on social media that are trying to enable and minimize the penalty that he should suffer for this lie because, well, back in, whatever, somebody did something and so he shouldn't go to jail. That's not wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. And so there's going to be a consequence that he should suffer for this because of the damage that's been done. And I hope that going forward, people will find their strength, regardless of what he said and put forth. They will find the strength to come forward if they are a true victim.
Eric, the brothers here, they are not in trouble. It's important to point out the superintendent called them victims. He doesn't see them as part of this conspiracy. Why are they not in trouble?
Yeah, that was very interesting when I watched the press conference and he stated that, and I understand their theory, being that these guys were paid to enact something. They were paid by check, which sounds legal. They bought these materials, which sounds legal. But the problem with Jussie is he turned it into a criminal investigation. And then at that point, these two men became criminal suspects in a hate crime. Black or white, it doesn't matter the color of your skin in reference to a hate crime. So they became a victim of what Jussie was going and telling Good Morning America, telling other publications that he was beaten by two men in Make America Great Again hats, and they are the prime suspects. So in that scenario, they are victims of what Jussie was planning all himself, what he paid to do all himself, and what he left a paper trail of what he did was stupid, ridiculous, and shameful.
All right, Eric Guster, thank you so much. Cheryl Dorsey, thank you. And a big thank you to Clay Kane as well. Also in court soon, Roger Stone.